Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. So last week, I went to this really fun event. It was by the Laundromat Project. They help like local artists. And, you know, I'm not super artistic, but I love events like that because I always meet really fun, artistic people that are just really free-flowing and fun. And that's where I met Arielle, who is my guest tonight. And we started talking about a lot of random things, like dating men with kids, just dating New York in general. So we're going to talk about some of that today. Hi, Arielle.
Hi, how are you?
Every time I say your name, I think of The Little Mermaid.
I know.
Like, I automatically, that's where my mind goes.
I'm always like, I'm named after a French perfume, not The Little Mermaid. Thank you. It's a little bit bougier.
Is that what your mom had in mind?
Yes.
Okay.
I was actually born before The Little Mermaid came out, which is dating myself a bit. But
oh, you should let people know that, though, just because then it's clear.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't after her. I was there first. You stole it from me.
My parents aren't that silly.
We just really liked that mermaid.
No.
So I need to settle a debate, number one, and two, apologize if, in fact, I won the debate. So when we were at that party that I met you at, as we were leaving, I'm talking to somebody else, but I kind of hear him behind me, so I'm within earshot. And he says something like, you know, like cappuccino, like cream and milk. And you had said something like, oh, get your boy. And so then I quickly assessed the situation in my head. And I'm like, did he just say something dumb like, you know, like a little milk in your coffee or something? And then when I heard you say, like, get your boy, I was like, and he was like, so on the way out, I was like, what did you say? And he was like, oh, you know, like, you know, I was telling her my Instagram, like the rapper, you know, Cappuccino from not Naughty by Nature, Wu-Tang. So no one knows all the members of the Wu-Tang clan. Sorry, never knew a Cappuccino. And I was like, she might have taken that offensively. So one, were you offended? And two, if you were, completely sorry. Three, he didn't get it.
I was not offended. I was more confused. I was like, I don't get this reference. So I don't know what you're talking about.
You know how I took it?
How?
And I was like, boy, you can't say stuff. So I took it like she might have taken that as some sort of like
racial thing?
Like sexual racial thing. Like, let me put some, you know, cappuccino, like coffee, and I was like,
no, your mind went there. My mind did not go there.
No, and that's what I said. That he was like, I don't think that's how she took that. I was like, but still, you never know. Like, just don't say stuff like that. No. Like, you might, you know.
No. You lost.
Okay.
You lost
okay. All right. So he does not owe an apology.
Yeah,
all right.
He doesn't owe me an apology for that. Yeah,
okay. Again, I'm like a mom, so I'm like,
what'd you do?
What did you do?
What did you do? I know you did something.
Okay, so moving on. I was wrong. I'll apologize to him later then.
Okay.
So, where are you from?
I am from a small town called Stone Mountain, Georgia, which is about 30 minutes outside of Atlanta. And I specify, because I used to say I was from Atlanta, and people who are really from Atlanta would be like, oh, really? Where are you from? And then I would have to like backtrack and be like, oh, I'm actually from a small suburb of
Not really Atlanta.
Yeah, you know, the metropolitan area. So, yeah, I'm from Stone Mountain, Georgia, but I've been living in New York for the past almost 5 years now.
What brought you here?
Grad school. I was like doing my thing. I called myself expatriating. I moved to Europe right after college.
Oh, wow. Where in Europe?
I was in Spain for a little while, and then I moved to Paris. And I was just like on some escapist.
Oh my God. I love
bullshit.
Spain. Like, I would want to move there. What part of Spain were you in?
It gets even like worse. I was in Mallorca.
I don't even know where that is.
It's a tiny island off the coast of like Barcelona. It's like a 30-minute plane ride from Barcelona.
Oh my gosh.
It's literally paradise. It's the most beautiful place on earth.
Oh my goodness, that sounds glorious. How long were you in Europe?
I was there for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to hear about this. What was life like there?
It was good. It was good. It was a dream. I was teaching English, working like not a lot and partying a lot and going to the beach every day and traveling a lot. And my family at first was like, oh yeah, she's teaching. Like they took me very seriously.
She's a teacher.
She's a teacher. And then like slowly it was kind of like, so what are you actually doing? You know,
going to the beach?
Year 2, year 3, my parents are like, all right, what's going on here? What is your life? What are you doing? And I had to quickly come up with some sort of scheme to convince them that I was actually doing something. So I actually started grad school in Paris. And
do you speak French?
I speak a little bit of French. I speak Spanish almost fluently now, I would say. And I speak
Me hablo Tanisha habla un poquito español.
Wow.
That's all I have.
Girl, you got it, girl.
I know things like a la izquierda to the left, a la derecha to the right. I'd make a very good Spanish flight attendant, I guess.
I see
That's
you.
it.
You can get around. You can
My name is
get
Tanisha,
around.
exits to the right, exits to the left, have a seat, that's all.
You're like, I'm here and I'm going places, essentially.
That's dope. Did you date while you were in Spain or Paris?
Girl, I dated so much.
How was that?
It was a lot of different things. I actually had what I call like my sexual revolution when I was living in Spain.
Tell me more.
So I'm about to.
I had to get a sip of the wine for that. I was like, I need to hear this.
I'm about to put myself all the way out there. So I was like pretty. Like I did not like peak in college. I went to school at a small liberal arts college, like. Not a place with a lot of diversity, not a place with like a lot of people, a small town in Connecticut. And so like the dating situation all throughout college, my like early 20s was not happening really. So then I moved to Spain, and of course I like moved to this small island. Everyone's like half naked all the time. It's like they're like drinking all the time, and I had this like
and
awakening.
the wine is so cheap.
And the wine is so cheap and good. So you're just like, oh, siesta.
What was that R. Kelly song? Siesta.
Siesta. Was that?
Or no, I think it was Fiesta.
Fiesta. That makes more sense. Right?
Party, sleep, whatever.
You know what I mean? All of that. So I went there and I was like all of a sudden getting like all this attention from men that I was not used to from college. And I kind of...
You got no attention in college? You're gorgeous.
Yo, I got no attention. It was a dry spell that lasted 4 years.
Wow.
No attention.
That's weird.
I was like, am I cute?
That's weird.
Yeah.
They have no taste.
They have no taste. I was out here thinking like I was busted.
So you went to Spain like, I'm sort of busted apparently because no one there talked to me.
I had to go to Spain to see myself. So I went there and it was like, I was just out there. I just started like, I felt beautiful for the first time. There was, of course, like a degree of exotification. So like nothing lasts forever. You know, after a year, I was like, I'm kind of over this. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of over this sort of superficial attention from these like Spanish men. And in a lot of ways, they are kind of like the stereotypes. You know what I mean? Obviously, there are exceptions, but like there's so many who fit the stereotype of just like smooth talkers. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Did you get serious with anybody there? Like anything more than just like a date or...
I'm a lover. Of course I did. I like caught myself falling in love within like the first probably 2 months while I was there.
Tell me about the lover.
Had this romance with this guy who's actually like still a really good friend and on and off lover. Man, I'm really outing myself.
I mean, I have a couple listeners in Spain.
All right. Yeah, I won't use any names. But so I was super young. I went there. I like met this guy. I had kind of like...
How'd you guys meet?
We met, he was a friend of my roommate's. And I met my roommate like in the street randomly. My roommate is this really dope man from Baltimore. And he was one of the few black people in Palma de Mallorca. And we met on the street like my first week there. Mm-hmm. And it was like such perfect serendipity because we ended up being just like the best of friends. Like, we just, like, ran the town. And everyone thought we were brother and sister because there were no black folks in the town. So it was like, yeah, me and my brother. So we went out one night, and I met this guy, and we just, like, we hit it off. And I fall, like, fast and hard. That's kind of, like, my MO. It's like, I like you, this is it.
Right.
So I did that for a little while. It ended bad. It was like my first real heartbreak. He like left me for his crazy suicidal Spanish ex-girlfriend because Spanish people are crazy.
Oh no.
They're like real, that's what I'm saying. They're like real.
So it was very like passionate and very just like
yeah.
in the moment. And
it sounds cliche.
I feel like it's like a telenovela a little bit.
Girl, it sounds so cliche, but it is like that. It's like it's like passion and drama, and they love the drama and like possessive, jealous. It literally is a telenovela. It's like, I love you, I love her. She's threatened to kill herself. I gotta go take care of this woman.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know. So ridiculous. Like, I think I low-key love... I'm like living for the story, I think. Which I'm trying not to be like that anymore, but I used to like really live for like, this is gonna be a really good story later.
Even if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna have a banging brunch story.
Right? I'm shattered right now, but later I'm gonna write a book. So that was that, and then I moved to Madrid, and I reconnected with this guy that I went to college with. Who was
he paying you attention in college?
He was not paying me attention in college.
But he wouldn't pay attention in Madrid?
But he was checking for me when I moved to Madrid, So we reconnected, and then I was in like a serious relationship. Like, we moved in together, and that was like my first
Madrid?
For real thing. Yeah, in Madrid.
Was he from there? Like, what was his story?
Yeah, he was from there.
Okay.
You have me out here now. You really do. He was from Madrid. We lived together. We were like domestic. It was really cute. But I was really young.
How old were you at this point? Like,
I was like 23.
Okay.
Yeah. Super young and just like trying different things on. You know what I mean?
As you should when you're young.
I was like, maybe I can do this. This looks good. This feels good. And then
what was living with him like?
It was awesome. It was like a life set out already. You know what I mean? He's a little bit older. He had his own apartment. His whole family lived in Madrid. So I kind of like just like landed in the middle of like a life that was already, set up. And he had a job that he traveled a lot. So we traveled a lot together. It was very exciting and like nice. Like also like kind of settled, which I had never done before. Right? I had never had a serious boyfriend.
Did you meet his family?
I met his family. We used to have lunch with his family every weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, like Spanish folks are for real about their family, which I loved.
How was the family?
It was great. His family was really cool. But Spanish people are also racist.
I was just going to ask you that. Like, racially, how did that go down?
They are racist, and they are so in denial about it. Like, they're deeply, deeply racist.
I don't like, because the word for black in Spanish is negro, right?
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. I know it's just a word, but I'm like, I just don't like the word.
It doesn't feel good.
It just doesn't feel, it doesn't sit well with me.
I know what you mean, but I still don't like it.
Right.
Yeah, it was a lot. There were some moments, for sure. Definitely moments. They have this expression.
Did they know you speak Spanish?
They know.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking, like, maybe they didn't know she spoke Spanish. And so as she's there, as she enters, here goes me with the drama. Then they're like, hola, and then you're like, I understood everything you just
That's
said.
What I should have done. That's what I should have done.
No habla español.
Oh, I'm so silly. I have no idea what you're saying. Actually probably would have been better if I didn't know what they were saying. They were super sweet. I don't want to throw them all the way under the bus, but it's just like a very unexamined culture in terms of race. Like, they say things that are horrific, and then they, like, when you call them out, they're like, no, that's just how we, like, it's not like that here. And I'm like,
what would they say that would...
They would say, let me think about, like, something crazy, but not too crazy. So they have this expression that's literally just like a saying, right? Like how, you know, just like an idiom. So they would say, coger un negro, which means like if you're like, I'm moving tomorrow, I could really use some help, like moving my furniture is going to be a lot of work. They would say like, why don't you like coger un negro? It's like it literally translates to get a black to do it. You know, like get a black to help you. And it comes from like, I assume it comes from like back in the day when you could like
get a slave
or like a manservant to assist you with your, menial labor tasks.
But when they say it in modern day,
do
they actually mean like go find a black person? Like,
no. So that's the thing. When they say it in modern day, they mean just sort of like get a helping hand, get someone to help you with it. But I'm like, let's just examine that phrase for a second. It's incredibly problematic. And the first time I heard it, I was like so confused. I was like, I know my Spanish is not perfect, but I think that man just said...
I think he just said get a black.
I really think he just said get a black. But let me just check.
Pulls out Spanish English translation dictionary. Yeah, he said get a black.
So later I was like, I was asking my boyfriend, I was like, I heard something and I just don't know what it means. Can you explain it to me? And he was like, oh no, it's just an expression.
Now, having gone to school here, did he understand why something like that would be like offensive or problematic?
You would think so. But he was in denial. He was also deeply in denial. Ultimately, like, our relationship didn't work out because it was a lot of me being like, a lot of just like me knocking him over the head, being like, I don't understand how you don't see this. I don't understand how you've been to the States, studied in the States, and you still are feigning ignorance. And
over racial things or other?
Over racial things. Racial things and like gender things. They're just not where... America's deeply racist and sexist and all those things, but we understand it. We understand it, and there's conversation around it. There's like intellectual conversation around it, and like I think they're just not there. So you can't even like approach a topic because people are so in denial about its existence. You know, you can't even like say, "Hey, that thing was fucked up." It's like they don't even.
What thing?
Yeah, it's like, what thing? I didn't see the thing. What are you talking about?
Wow.
Yeah. So in the end, it was just a lot of me being like, you're like this, and him being like, I don't want to hear you anymore.
How long were you guys together?
We were together for a year, about a year. Yeah.
So a lease? No.
So yeah, about the term of the lease. And then I moved to Paris.
How was that?
It was great. I was like,
what did you do in Paris?
That's when I was like, I'm going to get serious, and I'm going to move to Paris and be serious and go to grad school and, do a real life. Because in Spain, I was kind of just, like, fucking around. And then my parents were starting to look at me side-eye, so I was like, I'm going to move to Paris and learn French and go to school, and it's going to be all very serious and goal-oriented. And then I got there, and I started school there, and I was like, I think I made a mistake.
The French aren't necessarily warm all the time. Not like this. Like, I think, okay, though apparently Spanish people can be a little more racist than I thought. Not racist intentionally, just ignorant, I guess I would say. Yeah, French people aren't, they're just not like, they didn't give me necessarily a warm, they weren't being mean, but it was definitely not like, open arms, come to me.
It is not. And Spain is very warm. It's
they're very like, come to me.
Yeah, it's super friendly. It's like very easy to like to feel like you have a social life, right? That you're like a part of things. And France is not like that. or Paris specifically is not like that. But I that wasn't my problem. I met like great people. Started dating another guy.
Okay, who was the guy you were dating? Are you a serial monogamous?
I'm a serial, like, 9 months to a year monogamous. I'm a serial, kind of semi-long-term, but not really monogamous.
I totally understand. I'm on the same page.
I think I'm just always like, my friends are always like, so have you had the talk yet? And I'm like, I literally don't know what that is.
Are we together?
Yes, I just never have the talk. And so then it's just like, it just goes on. And then we're like, oh, we're doing this thing. I don't know what it is. It stays very nebulous until like it falls apart.
So you never actually say, so are we like exclusively seeing each other? Do you just assume that that's the case and then it becomes the case, or like?
No, it's more like meandering than that. You know what I mean? It'll be like a series of like short conversations of like, it's okay if you're seeing other people, I'm not, or vice versa. Then being like, hey, like, so are you? And then me giving some sort of evasive answer. But usually I'm not seeing anyone else. It just feels like, I don't know. Like,
do you kind of like the game of it?
Not the game of it. I think I kind of like the, I liked, because I'm not like that anymore. I'm changing.
Right. Because usually dudes tell me this. Usually dudes are like, so then I kind of just, say it's whatever,
Sure.
Like and usually women are like.
Right.
So what is this? Where are we going?
But I think
I am such woman. What is this? Where are we going?
But I think dudes are the difference between sort of like my mode of operating at that time and dudes. I think dudes do that to like leave the door open for other possibilities in terms of women a lot of times. And I think I would do that just because, I don't know. I often didn't know what I wanted. You know what I mean? And it often had to do with like...
So you were buying time, essentially.
I was buying time, yeah. And it often had to do with being like, where am I going to live? You know what I mean? Because I was like in Mallorca, and then I moved to Madrid, and then I moved to Paris. And my whole focus at that time was like, I'm just trying to like see and do and just...
I can't commit to anything at this time.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not trying to make any promises because I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow.
Why did it just sound like job offers? I'm not committing to anything at this time.
I'm just going to keep my options all the way open. But then at the end of the day, I am kind of like a monogamous. I like to be in a relationship. So I was at odds with my own desires at times.
So at this point, you moved to Paris. You're like 24?
Yeah, 24. Turned 25 when I was in Paris. And it was rough. Like, Paris kind of beat me up a little bit. I was hustling super hard, working all kinds of jobs, going to school. I dropped out of school. And then I was like, what am I doing here? This is hard, because it was like hard in a way that Spain wasn't hard.
Right.
And then I was like,
and Paris is expensive.
It's expensive. I was living.
It's like New York, pretty much.
It's like New York.
Yeah.
Exactly. Except it's not my language, visa issues, and I was literally living in a shoebox. Like, when I tell you, you think New York apartments are crazy? I was living in an apartment where, like, I could stretch my arms out and touch both sides of my apartment.
But was it by yourself?
I was alone.
Okay, that's a step up.
And if you looked out the tiny window, you could see the Eiffel Tower. If you craned your neck at the right angle, you could see the Eiffel Tower. And that kept me going for a little while.
I see it. It's within my vision.
This is a dream. This is a kind of a dream.
I mean, as long as it had a bed and a bathroom.
It had a bed and a bathroom window and a shower, all in the same 12 square foot.
But you could see the Eiffel Tower
through the tiny, tiny window. Exactly. So then I was like feeling like, damn, I'm hustling so hard for this. I might as well just go to New York where I can hustle equally as hard, and like, things will be a little easier.
How long were you in Paris?
Also a year. A year was kind of like my, my trial period.
Right. So dating in Paris, anybody?
I dated a really nice guy in Paris. Probably one of the nicest guys I've ever dated. But he was like a little too mature for me.
How old was he?
He was not that much older than me. If I was like 24, he was like 27. And we just had like a nice, you know, super compatible. He was like French, but a little bit carefree, like Parisian with a touch of like free spirit. Super sweet, but also I think he could kind of see through my thing, which I wasn't. And I was like, don't look at me. You know. Did
you find Parisian men, I don't know if aggressive is the word, but very straightforward in an off-putting way?
Yes, they are not smooth.
Right. So it's not like, okay, so when I was in Paris, I went out on a date. Yeah, just a random Tinder date. And I was only there for like 5 days. Went out on a random Tinder date. And I felt like, you know, men here would at least be like, so, you know, if you're like hungry or thirsty or, you know, you want to see this movie, we can always go back to my... It was very sort of like, let me skirt around it, but not go directly. But he was so direct. And it was like, no, number one, but still no. Even if you did say it nicely, but you could at least have said it kind of nicely. Put a little sugar on it, just a little dab, a little sprinkle, little, you know what I'm saying? Just a little something,
a little finesse,
little bit.
Is that a French word? Finesse?
Yes, just a little something.
You know, that's so funny that you say that because I went on a horrible date while I was in Paris. Like one of the worst dates of my life with this beautiful like French Guyanese guy, and my family's from Guyana, so I was like, oh my god,
my people,
but he was not my people. We went out and I think we had a drink somewhere, we had dinner somewhere, and like conversations going, but it was like kind of like a fight. You know when you're having a conversation with someone, but it feels like you're having a fight,
right? Like
an argument with them, where you're like talking, you're like, I don't like you and you don't like me, and it's very obvious. It feels very obvious.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Let's not pretend.
It did not go well.
And they're not good at pretending.
We were talking like this, like, oh, I'm surprised. I was a little surprised that you're like this. I was not expecting.
How did you meet this guy?
I met him at a party or something. Yeah, I met him at a party. He was like really good looking and black, and we started talking, and I don't know. It seemed like we might hit it off, and then we just hit it like not off. It went south real fast, and then I remember. So we had like this horrible date. By the end of it, both of us are just like staring at each other, like scowling, literally. And so we leave the spot and we're walking towards the main. I think we're walking towards the main street. And we get to the main street and he's like, "Oh, so my apartment is here."
No, you didn't.
I was like, what? I was like, well, good for you. Good night. I will be going home. I was like, I think I said to him, do you think this went well?
What did he say?
And he kind of just like shrugged.
Like doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Maybe he thought of like, there was so much passion in the hate. So much passion in the hate.
You know, there's like sexual tension, and then there's just like tension, like bad tension.
Right. Wow.
I was like, we don't like each other.
Parisian men are bold. I'm going to give it to them. They get a 10 on the boldness scale.
They're bold, but like, come on. They're not silky smooth. They're rough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like a Brillo pad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're uptight. I feel like Paris was a huge deception for me. I was like, this place is not romantic.
You felt like it was going to be so romantic.
Yeah.
And everybody comes here to get married or on their honeymoon.
Exactly. And I also thought it was sort of like free, creative, open, all this shit. Paris is uptight as fuck. The men are uptight. People are having sex, but it's really weird. All the relationships are really weird. Everyone's awkward. And I'm just like...
How are the relationships weird?
Confused. It's a lot of like game playing. There's a lot of situations. Either French people are like either like in committed relationships and like cheating. They cheat a lot. Or like in situations, you know, like I'm with this person, we're not together, like we sleep together, we don't acknowledge each other, like
we don't acknowledge you. You're gonna acknowledge me.
You know, at school, I would go to the school when I was still, before I dropped out. I would go to school and my friend would be like, yeah, I slept with that guy last weekend, and I'd be like, that guy over there who you haven't looked at or said anything to? I'm so confused.
And she didn't feel any way about it?
No kind of way.
Oh.
They're weird. They are. It was not them was not my people. Although I made some wonderful friends there, but them is not my people, no.
I will say, though, I've had some of the best food I've had in life in Paris.
Really?
Like, I had Senegalese food.
Yes.
And it was so good. Like, I remember plates of food specifically, like from places I've been. Like, I can sit and I can close my eyes and I see the plate of food. I remember exactly what it tastes like. And I remember I went to this Senegalese place. I think it was like in the 19th. And it was so good. Like, the fish, it was just this fried. And it was just, oh my God, I need to go back there. Like, I'm the type, let me get enough money one day to just fly somewhere for a meal. Like, I'd be like, I'm just going to Paris for what? To this restaurant. I have a reservation.
You know, there's a little spot and the fish is just perfection.
like I have big houses. I have a yacht. No, I just fly everywhere for my meals. That's my luxury.
I love it.
So you came back from Paris. You came here to New York.
Came to New York. Wow, it's just this my life story. I came to New York. I went to film school, and I was like super focused. I actually it was good. I kind of got all the stuff out in those years, you know. And then I came back, and I was just like, you know, eyes on the prize. I didn't really date. When I moved to New York, I didn't date. And I was also kind of like, it took me a minute to get my bearings in terms of like the New York dating scene. Mm-hmm. It was very overwhelming when I got back here.
When you were away, did you date online at all or use any apps or anything like that?
The apps were not a thing when I was living in Europe. I want to say I did not do the apps thing until like 2015, maybe. You know what I mean? See that. Yeah, definitely not when I first moved here. I moved back to New York in 2014. Definitely was not doing the apps when I first moved here. And maybe like 2015, I was like, this dry spell is so dry. What to do? And maybe like a friend like set it up for me. I think that's how that went down.
What did you get on? I
got on Tinder. Yeah. I think I tried OkCupid. And then I was like, this is really involved. You know, it asks.
They want so many words.
It asks so much of me. And then I did the Tinder thing, and that was, I just liked the like grocery shopping. I'm like into it more sort of as a game.
Like Candy Crush?
Exactly. Just, you know, crushing.
Which is kind of where I think dating took a bad turn when people literally started to look at it like, well, this is like a game. I just swipe. It's fun. Ooh, a match. Okay, I'm not going to talk to that person.
Yeah, because I think I'm a little bit, my personality is very special and unique. And I don't think it always translates on the app structure. Like, I'm not a successful app user. You know?
Are you on any apps right now?
I don't know. I can't remember if it's on or off right now. I'm always like, you know, like the game, like deleting, re-downloading, deleting. I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is depressing. Download it, you know.
I'm back and forth.
I'm like back and forth. I probably have like one, maybe like Tinder.
Can I see your profile? I'm just curious as to the profile you versus the in-person you and how it matches up.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Let me see.
I really miss dating apps, so I get really excited. Like I'm over here like, yes, I get to swipe a few.
You're gonna die because I'm pretty sure that my profile right now is kind of crazy.
Just out of curiosity, so I was looking at your Instagram profile, and it looked like at one point in the very recent past that your hair was longer.
Yes.
And so whenever people cut their hair, like go extreme, I always wonder.
Are you gonna go there?
What the reason was? Like, what made you do that?
Yeah, my hair. I had like huge, big, curly afro, and I felt very attached to my hair in terms of like my identity and my like how attractive I feel. And I did go through a breakup. I think that was a thing that happened right before I cut my hair. But I also was just like tired of one version of myself. You know what I mean? Like the breakup was one thing, but I think it was more sort of like, I don't want to be this version of myself anymore. You know?
Was this in New York, the breakup?
This was in New York.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I cut my hair, and it's like, it's been, some days it's like, it's kind of sad. I'm kind of like, I don't want to be this version of myself.
I want my hair back. You have like nothing written in your profile.
What does it say?
Mysterious, like the dark side of the moon.
You know what I mean? It's a wonderful conversation starter. And men are like, oh, what do you mean?
Oh, I like the Bantu knots here.
Yeah, that was my look. That used to be my look.
You literally look different. Like you put every version of your hair in every picture. Like, so there's one where she has sort of like a Grace Jones type thing going. And then there's the big hair. And then there's the Bantu knot. And then there's the short hair. And then there's a silver wig.
Literally. I'm like, you don't know me. I could be anybody. I am a canvas.
Yeah, you purposely left this extra mysterious.
You know?
Like, I'm going to show you 5 different looks and tell you I'm like the dark side of the moon.
Exactly. I'm like, who do you want me to be? Also, you can tell I just don't take it very seriously based on that. I let my friend look at I have a friend who's like really good at the apps. She's just like, and I feel like when I say you're good at the apps, you know what I mean.
Right.
You know, people who are like, yeah, like 5 dates a week, who take it kind of seriously. And
well, when you're I look at it like this. If you're actually trying to like meet somebody and settle down, whatever your version of that is, you have to almost treat it like you would treat a job. Now, I'm not saying like, so I go on, 6 days a week and I'm there I go to my 9 to 5 and then I go my 5 to 9 and I'm like, no, you don't have to get crazy on it. But there does need to be some effort put forth. Like it's not, the app doesn't work itself. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And so true. I get that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to kind of think I'm just not that like diligent about dating. You know what I mean? Like even if I say like I want this, I want that, I don't actually like put a plan in action.
So what do you want in terms of the future?
Oh God. This question. I got in trouble. My closest friends actually like kind of did an intervention. Because they were like, okay, we've just seen you go through so much, and it's your fault. Essentially, they were like, you don't know what you want. You're like, I have a personality where like if I see something in someone, and it's not just like romantically, it's like, and it's happened in friendships too. I can like really fixate on something about someone that I find interesting and like really fall in love
with that one thing and not look at anything else.
Or with like, a portion of who someone is. I could really like go deep and get really, really indulge in whatever it is that they are giving that I am feeling.
Right.
And so that often happens to me. I have this like tunnel vision where like, I love this part of you and I am in love with you. Until I'm not, or until
I see those other parts.
Yeah, or until I'm like, this doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? So I don't actually know what I want. That's a question that I'm really kind of struggling with these these days. I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 in a few months, and that feels like it means something. I don't know what. But I know that I kind of want to date in a different way. I just don't know what that different way is. And I think that I'm having a hard time figuring out if it's immaturity in myself, not knowing what I want, and sort of being open to whatever someone may give, or if that's just kind of how I'm set up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like, that is kind of my personality, where I'm intrigued by people, and I do fall in love with people. And I think that
you just sort of follow the light.
I follow the light.
You know, so I was about to ask you, I was about to say, so do you think like you want to like maybe get married or have children? And as the question came to my head and was about to come out my mouth, I thought about how silly it was. I was like, that's really silly, because why is that the only version of a future? Because I've asked you before, so like, what do you want in the future? And then I was going to go to, well, okay, so do you want like marriage? Do you want kids? And it's like, that's really dumb. Not marriage and kids are really dumb, but it's really dumb to put that as the ultimate future.
Sure, yeah.
You know, because it's not.
Sure.
There are many different paths. There are many different futures. And the better question is, what makes you happy?
Yeah. I mean, I think I want a family, whatever that looks like. I definitely want partnership. And I don't know really what my path is to get there. I don't think that my path is like becoming really focused on finding a partner and starting to aggressively date.
And it doesn't have to be.
So, yeah, what I want is just, I want to know myself well enough to know somebody and have them know me, if that makes sense.
I totally.
And I think I'm still working on the knowing myself part.
Because other people can't really know you until you know yourself.
Exactly. Yes.
And where do you feel like you're at in that progression?
I thought I was good, but this year kind of threw me, and I think it's the sort of like 29 thing. It's like it feels like the end of an era in some ways, in good ways, but it feels like, and I think I'm an extremist, so I'm like, at the end of an era, I'm into like big transitions, like I cut all my hair off. I'm about like drastic change.
Right. Which I totally appreciate and respect.
So I'm trying to...
Well, you were 28, which is a big... You know, they say that all the cells in your body change every 7 years.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you become a different person every 7 years. So like 21, 28.
Okay. Yes, I have heard that before. Yeah, so I guess maybe that's what happened. 29 was a strange... It's been a strange...
What happened with 29?
Year. It's just like... I don't know. All of a sudden, I was like, who are you? You know what I mean? I went on a 10-day silent meditation retreat in November just to like be like, I need to hear my inner voice.
Did you hear the inner voice?
I heard the inner voice, and the inner voice is so active. It's crazy. Like, the silent people were like, wasn't it hard not to speak for 10 days? And I was like, the voices are so loud. There's so much happening in your head.
So you don't, at these retreats, you don't speak to anybody? Like, even the people there, like, hey, hand me that piece of cheese? Or
no, you're not.
I don't know why anyone would hand you cheese. It's most likely salt or pepper.
You're not allowed to make any physical contact. You're not allowed to make eye contact. There's a facilitator who helps you if you have an emergency, or if it's like there's no toilet paper in the bathroom, you're allowed to like quietly whisper to the facilitator. You're not supposed to talk to anyone. You're just supposed to go all the way deep inside of yourself for 10 days. And it's like nothing I've ever experienced before. You know, there's so many things happening in your head. Your mind does all kinds of things to escape, like confronting itself. So you're either like imagining things, like your imagination goes so crazy, remembering things, or just like being in the present. And once you stop sort of inventing things or like calling up things from the past, then you really like sit in the present, and it's very intense.
Do you think it was helpful in terms of gaining perspective in certain parts of your life about like who you are or what you want? Because I've seen those and I've thought about it for that very reason. But I'm like, is that what's going to happen, or is it just me not saying shit for 10 days?
I mean, you have to go into it kind of wanting to get something out of it. I think it very much could be you just sitting for 10 days really frustrated and not speaking. But it did help me because I am someone who is like very carefree, and sort of I don't really like get affected by things for very long. Mm-hmm. I'm like, something happens that is difficult, I confront it, I acknowledge it, I talk about it exhaustively for a period of time, and then I'm like, okay, and now I'm done with that.
Right.
And I'm okay.
What's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about signs, but I only know like what my sign does, and I was like,
what does your
that
sign
sounds
do?
Familiar. Is she an Aquarius? I'm an Aquarius.
Okay. I don't know much about signs either, and lately people have been like, that astrology is so ridiculous. But whatever.
Well, whatever you say, they'll be like, you know what? That's a Scorpio trait. That is exactly something a Scorpio would do.
You know?
I know a lot of Scorpios like you.
Right? I'm like, you don't know me. But actually, that is kind of true. My friends say that I'm like quietly repressed. You know, like on the outside, like super cool and super just like, you know, dealing with things. And then like if I really like study, I kind of begin to see, oh, that thing kind of did affect me beyond like what I allowed myself to acknowledge. You know what I mean? So at the meditation retreat, all this shit was coming up, like that I would think about, and I like I had some breakdowns. You know, I burst into tears a few times just thinking about things that I was like, I didn't even know that was in there. Right. You know? I had a panic attack. It was intense. Wow. It was really intense, but it was like a purge. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was like all this. They even talk about it like that. They're like, you're like bringing all the shit up. And it felt like that for sure.
Wow. Did you have to go to therapy when you got back? Like, because, you know, like once you bring all this stuff up and it's like, okay, great. It's there. Now what do I do with it?
No, I didn't go to therapy. I did the meditation retreat. I kind of like took like a month really to just like be with myself. I went on the meditation retreat, and then afterwards I went on the retreat in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And after I went to a beach town, because like the beach and nature and like mountains is kind of where I reconnect. Mm-hmm. And I spent a few days just like in nature and in the water, and kind of that was my therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I'm loving like all your advice. Like I'm living through you right now. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I spend 2 years away when I was like in my 20s?
Stop it. My parents are like, why are you so poor? My mom's like, you can't go on vacation every 4 months. Because I was kind of on a schedule. I was like, going on a trip. And I told
if you're not paying for the trip, don't worry about it, Mom.
Exactly. I was like, this is part of my self-care.
Self-care is very important.
It is very important. There's self-care and there's self-indulgence. And I'm trying to learn the difference. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's only indulgence if you're overextending yourself and now you can't accomplish other things.
That's true.
Because of the indulgence. But it's care if you're still taking care of all the other things you need to take care of.
That's true.
I think that's the line.
That's true. And different priorities. Like that's why I say like my 20s was an era, because I think my priority was totally about like just like living life to the max, you know? Like I was hungry for experiences. I was like hungry. It really fed me to just like meet people and go to new places. It was like my my whole being was just like demanding that I be on the move, you know?
If I had to give advice to anybody in their 20s coming out of college, that's what I would say do. Instead of saying, oh, well, like, get a job and do this and do that, I would say, go travel. You're already broke, so you're used to the lifestyle.
Exactly.
Like, go travel. So I think that's like the ultimate perfect thing to do. And if I had to do it over again, that's probably the one thing that I would have done differently in my 20s, is just like go away and meet as many people as I can in the world and like find myself and figure out like who I am. I eventually did that later in life, but like that would have been such an epic time to do it.
Yeah. I like kind of hate that expression, find yourself, but it is kind of like, it is, annoyingly accurate. You have to like, I felt like I had to put myself in a lot of different situations. I have to learn by like knocking my head against different materials and see what it feels like. Exactly. So I was like, I need to do a lot of different kinds of things in order to see who I am.
Right.
Like who am I in this context?
Exactly.
Who am I in this context?
Who am I in this hair?
Exactly.
I've had pretty much the same hairstyle and cut my entire life. I might be on some stuff. I might. Because I was just thinking about this. Like, for most of your life, so you're born, obviously your parents are taking care of you. You go to school. There's a whole system set up for school from the time you're 5 until you're 18. A lot of people then go off to college. There's a system within that. You pick a major, you get a degree. And so for a good chunk of your life, before you're in your early mid-20s, your life is really set up for you.
Sure.
And so you're not actually given the tools to figure out in that time what you truly like and who you truly are, because a lot of it is already told to you. So from 0 to 5, it's like your parents being like, you're just sponge it. You're a sponge, and your biggest influence is your parents. That's who you spend the most time around. So you're just maybe a little clone of your parents. And then you go to school, and your day is like really structured and set up for you. And then you go off to college and you have the freedom to pick a major. But it's still not, like, none of it at this point is really you.
Sure.
And you making you in the driver's seat. So I think, like, after college is really that time. And unfortunately, what a lot of people do, myself included, is you panic. And so you're like, okay, I gotta like pay bills. I gotta get a job. And that's what everybody else is doing. And if you're not doing that, you feel like you haven't achieved some form of success that you're supposed to achieve. So it's like, okay, I've just graduated college. Let me get this job. Let me get some money. And if you're not doing that, you literally feel like, oh my God, I failed.
Sure, yeah.
But the real like achievement, I think, is finding out who you are, not what anybody else told you are, but finding out who you are as quickly as possible. Like, I think that should be the race. So it's like, okay, you graduate from college. Great. Let me figure out who I am. Let me find this job, but like, let me figure out who I am and what I want and who I want to be. And so like you doing that, like right at that point, I totally commend that. And I love that. And I wish that like that was the plan that everybody, or most people, not everybody, everybody shouldn't do everything, but like follow that.
I mean, it's like, it happens sooner or later, or, it's all people who sometimes I feel like, oh, if I had gone to work right after college, where would I be now? But everything is just...
It happens as it's supposed to.
It happens as it's supposed to.
It happens as it's supposed to.
And like you never know what you would be like if you had made a different choice. One of my favorite books is The Unbearable Lightness of Being. And there's like a line in there where they talk about like, you never know, life is just a hypothesis, but you never get to test out, one version, if one version is more successful than the other. It's like a rehearsal, but it's actually just the show.
Right.
Like, so you just don't know. I could do this or I could do that, and I don't know what that would be.
And that's kind of why you like to experiment with all the different versions of yourself.
Right.
It all came together.
That's right. You know what I mean? Trying things on.
So you said that you cut your hair after this breakup. What was this breakup that made you cut all that beautiful hair?
Should I talk about this breakup?
Well, let me ask. Is he a killer or no?
He's not a killer.
Okay, then you can talk about it.
He's not a killer. He's a very nice man. He thinks he's a very nice man. No, he's a nice man. It was like another one of those, I was doing my same thing, you know what I mean? Of being like, I'm cool. Like, I'm cool with openness. I'm cool with this or that. And I wasn't really cool after a while. You know what I mean? Like, I think I had changed, but my story to myself was still the same. Right. Like, I thinking like, yes, I'm chill. I'm non-committal. I'm like, yes, I love hard, but I don't need, commitment. Mm-hmm. And I had changed, and it took me a little while to catch up with myself. Right. And then, the
stories we tell ourselves are really powerful.
Wow.
And even when we change them to the world, it's like, we got to change them to ourselves.
Right.
It's crazy how much you can be committed to your own story.
Girl, how you can just convince yourself of things and convince other people. And so that's what I did. And then when I finally caught up to myself and communicated that, it was like, oh, well, this is not what I had in mind. So we dated for about a year, and it was intense. It was emotionally intense, but he was in and out. He was traveling a lot, so I think it was a weird time. Like, I experienced time really interestingly in that relationship, because we were so much like on the phone, talking to each other on the phone, and he would come back into town. We'd have these intense like bursts. And I got a little bit caught up, and then I caught up with myself, and I was like, okay, like, I want something. I need more than, a sometimes kind of boyfriend who's also still like out here.
So he lived here. He was just traveling all the time.
He didn't live here. He didn't really live anywhere.
Where did he get mail?
He didn't really live anywhere, which was he was also in transition, going through a divorce, which is he was emotionally unavailable in a lot of ways. And that's what I'm starting to recognize, like, when you said, like, the mind is a powerful thing. I think sometimes I purposefully enter into relationships with emotionally unavailable men because I myself am emotionally unavailable.
Because you're not sure when you're going to want to leave, and it makes it easier to leave if somebody is not really all the way invested because they can't be.
Exactly. Yes.
Was this the guy with the kids?
This was not the guy with the kids.
Okay.
Girl, I'm a mess. It's been a mess.
Okay, can you tell us?
I'm actually not a mess.
No, you're not. You're living and you're learning, and I think you're figuring it out. Yeah. As we all do.
That was not the guy with the kids. The guy with the kids came after.
Oh, so this was the person you dated right after that.
I took a short hiatus. And yeah, the guy with the kids was most recent.
So what happened with him?
I met a nice man. He had a whole bunch of kids.
As soon as you said bunch, I just immediately thought of the Brady Bunch.
I mean, how much is a bunch?
You know the Brady Bunch, how they look like up and down and left and right in the squares, and they're just like, oh, all the kids.
All the kids. I mean, a bunch is a bunch. A bunch is more than two.
Also, second time you said it, I thought grapes.
Grapes. You know, it's enough to make a small team of some sort. You know what I mean? So he had a bunch of kids, and I was, again, tunnel vision, being like, this man is really nice and caring, and I need a lot of care right now.
And they were all the same mom.
They were all the same mom. It was a long relationship. And recently, he was also probably unavailable in a lot of ways. Recently separated from the mother of his children.
How long had they been separated when you guys met?
They had been separated. He told me they'd been separated for a year, but come to find out, it was less than that. Later, I found out it was just a few short months.
So what was special about him? We said he was caring.
Yeah, it's gonna sound bad, but he was just like he was a dad. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh my God, this man is so responsible.
I mean, they kind of got to be.
You know what I mean? I was like, he shows up when he says he's going to. He calls me. He checks in. He, buys me almond milk.
Because he knows I don't drink dairy.
Because he knows I don't drink dairy. He would always go to Costco and get like bulk items. This sounds horrible.
It doesn't. I'm a Costco fan. I mean, if I had like room in this apartment really to get Costco sized things all the time, I would.
You know what I mean? I was like, this is a dad and it's great. It was really cool. He was just like a for real man in a lot of ways that I hadn't experienced. That's the other thing. Every time I date, I'm like, this is new. I like this. I've never had this before. If it could all just merge into a single human.
Good luck.
Yeah, he was just like very kind and caring, and also like let me be, and also like very like normal. And I don't say that in a pejorative way. Like I had dated prior to that, and the years prior to that, a lot of just like characters, creatives, artists. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of flowers. My friend has a theory that is not her theory because I've heard it other places, that there are flowers and there are gardeners.
Where did I just hear this? Like, what was I watching? And in it, they said, are you a flower or are you the Tanya Harding movie.
Tanya.
The Tanya Harding movie. That's where I heard it.
That's right. I heard that in that movie and I was like, oh my God, that's my friend saying.
She stole it from my friend.
That's so crazy. Yeah, it was in that
So you
movie.
dated a lot of flowers.
So I dated a lot of flowers.
By the way, pause. If you guys haven't seen the I, Tanya movie, for whatever reason, I loved it.
It was so good.
It was really good. And that's where they get the analogy, the flower and the garden thing. So check it out and let me know what you think.
It's an amazingly entertaining movie.
Yeah, it is. It's weird, but really entertaining.
I loved it. Yeah. So, yeah, I dated a lot of flowers, and I realized that it is exhausting to tend flowers, when you yourself are a flower.
Right. You're going to need a gardener.
You know what I mean? So he was a gardener, and it was really nice to be tended and like loved on and cared for, even though it was a bit of escapism from his very real adult father life.
Right.
I think. Now I'm retrospectively.
Because he saw you probably as like, this is like compared to everything I've done. This is a very easy garden. Like, this is, you barely have to water this. Like, you know what I mean? Like compared to like kids and a mortgage and a family, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I was like a one flower garden. He just had
just little fertilizer, just little water, some sunlight.
It grows. It's beautiful. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? And you said you wanted to talk about dating a man with kids, but I really did not confront his children. Did you ever meet them? I never met them. I was not trying to meet his children. For a long time, he didn't talk about his kids because he was like, "Oh, I thought you didn't want to hear about them," which made me feel bad. But I probably did, in some way, express I don't want to acknowledge.
I want this, but not all that.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is horrible. I'm not proud of that. But yeah, I was not trying to date a man with children, so I just pretended he did not have children.
I don't want to date a man with kids, therefore you don't have them.
Out of sight, out of mind. The mind is a powerful thing, literally.
So how did that end?
He is expecting his 4th child, and that came to light
with the same
woman, and that came to light at some point. And that was that. So
she was pregnant when y'all were dating.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Wild. This is not me. And I had to look in the mirror and say, this is not you. This is somebody else. This is not you.
Damn.
Isn't that wild?
Did he cheat, or was this something that happened before y'all got together?
Who knows? He said he didn't cheat, but I kind of believed him. He said he didn't cheat. He just lied. When y'all got together, she was already pregnant. Yes, but he was not aware. in his, that was the story.
Damn. But he didn't tell you as soon as he became aware.
He didn't tell me as soon as he became aware.
Well, it wasn't going to go away the more time that went by.
That's what I mean. He was also indulging in some escapism. For real, for real.
Got it. Got it.
So that was that. I could do 3, but I can't even do 3.
A newborn though is the...
I just
like a newborn as a
it's like,
we're together.
It's like
you have to go to the hospital right now to have your baby.
It's not even a newborn yet. We're in negative time. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of, when you meet a man with children, you're sort of like, how close is the child to 18?
Right.
We're like, we are actually in negative time right now.
We haven't even started the 18 clock.
We have not. We are in negative 19, negative 18.5. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So I was like, I wasn't cut out for this, but this is like the universe.
A whole different territory.
Yeah, it was kind of like the universe being like, come on.
Plus, after that, it would, despite the kids, there's a trust factor there that's going to diminish or disappear completely.
Absolutely.
When something like that happens.
And I'm a flower. I'm like, if you don't have time to treat me like a flower.
If you don't have time to water me because of this new baby.
What is the point?
So, okay. What have you learned from all this? You've had a ton of life experience that I love. You've lived abroad. You've dated abroad. You've gone to school. You've gone on these silence retreats. Like, you've really done a lot. Like, do you feel now like you are at a point where you can say, like, here's who Arielle is and here's what Arielle wants?
I don't know anything. No, there's some things that I'm really realizing that there are so many things I still don't know about myself. I've done all of this stuff, and every time I'm learning more and more, and it's sort of like this endless thing of like each experience teaches me something new, but also makes me feel like, wow, how could I have not known that? How could I have not known that? Which is it's a beautiful thing in a lot of ways. Sometimes it's unsettling, but a lot of times it's like, okay, like I'm just like on my way. And what I want now is to just live my life and not look for anything and not pursue things because of any voids, because of loneliness,
right,
or because of just interest. I think what I've learned is like, just because something is interesting to you does not mean you have to taste it.
You don't have to follow the light.
You don't always have to follow the light, And so that's the thing. I'm learning to be a little bit more selective with the types of experiences that I welcome into my life. Mm-hmm. Because I don't need to. I have so many good stories.
Right.
I don't need any more good stories just because.
Right. You know what I've learned from you today?
What?
I think that for me, I've sort of lived my life in a way where I've said, okay, like what's the goal of this thing that I'm doing, whatever that thing may be? What's the end result that I'm hoping to accomplish? At the end of this, who do I want to be? What do I want to find out? And I think I'm constantly searching for, like, if I don't get to some sort of like end goal, then I'm like, it hasn't been accomplished. But like, what if that's not? What if we will never do that? We can't actually. Like, we actually will never do that. Like, you'll never get to a point where you know it all, you've accomplished it all, you're everything you wanted to be. And there should be a satisfaction still without those things, because those things will actually never be accomplished. And so if those things are never going to be accomplished, does that mean that I'm going to live my life in a way where I feel unfulfilled or unhappy because those things haven't been accomplished?
Yeah.
And so that's food for thought for me. I'm thinking through that. But I notice one of the things that I've always done in my life is I've always sort of live my life in a way where it says, I'll be happy when. So when I was in high school, it was, okay, like high school sucks right now. I just like, I'm going to finish. And then when I go to college, like that'll be the life, right? So then I finish high school. I go to college. I get to college. I'm like, oh my God, like I just want to like make some money and like get a good job and that'll be the life. So then I get that and I'm like, oh my God, like this first job, it's just, it sucks. They want me to be here all the time. I just want to get like a promotion and then move somewhere else. And then I'll be the person I want to be. Then I move somewhere else and I'm like, this city is like really great, but like, and the money is really good right now, but like, I just feel like I need more. And so with the next city, I'm going to move somewhere else and then that'll be it. And here I am like 3 cities later, 5 jobs later. And I'm not unhappy, but I think that the measure is probably off. It's the measure to which I've been, or the thing that I've been measuring myself against is not an accurate thing to measure myself against. So that's something that I'm going to marinate on, and I will come back to you guys with what I come out with. But I do think that we probably all do that on some level. Like we pick a measure and it's probably whatever the society or place that we grew up in has told us is the measure that happiness is in which happiness is created. And it's false. It probably is false. Yeah. It is false. So I'm going to think about that. And thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I hadn't really thought about that in this way.
I'm
maybe like, ever.
I obsessed with it. I was obsessed with it for a decade plus. I was just like, who am I? Who do I want to be? What is truly, authentically going to make me happy in this world? That's what I cared about most for a really long time. And it's a good practice.
Right.
Yeah. It leads to a lot of exciting discoveries.
So what's next for you?
In terms of...
Well, we're going to have some dinner and do some wine. You see how I'm thinking more in the moment already?
No.
You see?
Look at that. Let me rub off on you a little bit. What's next for me is I just want to like create. I'm like in a really fertile creative period right now. I'm a filmmaker and a writer, and I feel like I told you before, like the thing that was bursting out of me before was like traveling and seeing and meeting people and learning languages. And now the thing that's bursting out of me is like creating with people, building community, making art in community, making films that mean something to somebody besides myself and my mama. So that's where I'm at. And in terms of like the romance stuff, I'm like more lost than ever. So I'm sort of just like embracing that and like putting my hands up a little bit and saying like, Jesus, take the wheel. Up in there and said, show me something. You know that Rihanna song?
Yes. I love that song.
I said, Jesus, take the wheel, because I have no idea. That's where I'm at.
I love it. So where can people reach you to connect with you and maybe create with you, etc.? Like on the gram?
Yeah, I'm on the gram. I'm at Night Waves with 2 V's. That's going to be hard to find. Night with a K and 2 V's. Night Waves.
All one word?
All one word.
All right. Well, we'll put that up on the website.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. I feel enlightened.
Oh my God. I'm so happy that someone could say or feel that they learned something from my...
Totally. And I know that the listeners out there will too. So you guys, please reach out to me at Tanisha Wood on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Let me know what you think of today's show. Let me know if you learned something and are enlightened in some way. And be sure to leave a review on iTunes if you love today's show. And thank you so much for joining me. And Arielle, this, like I said, has been lovely, and I've had an amazing time. So thank you so much. I feel the need to say namaste.
Namaste. Oh my God. No, that makes me feel so new agey.
Namaste.
Namaste. I'm not new age.
Well, thank you so much, guys. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.